I'm a dreamer. In my experience, people are negative about your dreams or your plans. Perhaps it's the way we are conditioned. Our crocodile brains are in a feedback loop of nasty self-talk. We have reality TV shows devoted to revealing the most disrespectful and harmful aspects of human behavior, provided as entertainment. The news purposely creates shock and horror and fear in us. I mentioned in my very first video how my partner and I used to read the newspaper, and we'd discuss how the headlines, carefully written to create anxiety and response, often didn't match the contents of the story. And of course, here on YouTube, there is clickbait and people promising you'll make thousands and get rich with no effort at all if you just watch their video or buy their course or their coaching. As a singing teacher, I would gently suggest to the shy and terrified student who was meeting with me for the first time that they should, if possible, not share the fact they were taking voice lessons with anyone else, at least not for a while. This was because those who did tell others reported back a negative response. Someone would make jokes at their expense. Or even worse, they were instantly asked to sing and were stymied, like not knowing what to do. Finally, one of my students came up with a response that really worked. When somebody said, "Well, sing something then," she said, "I can't sing anything yet. That's why I'm taking lessons." Very clever of her. This leads me to a point about our society and its perception of process. In a world of instantness where waiting more than a few seconds to be entertained or get a response, where food is dashed to us or picked up at fast food places, where the less time you spend doing something is often valued more, while the time we save is spent scrolling through our phones or doing other mindless activities, the process of learning to become something is often ignored and even disrespected. While we might allow that someone goes to college for 2 years or university for 4 years, we often do not actually see the years of training, work, and trying that goes into someone developing a skill or ability. We deny that there's a beginning, a long journey of struggle and doubt and commitment and perseverance until someone begins to feel competent and is seen to be so. In my experience, it's difficult to be a beginner at something, especially as an adult. It's really hard to begin work on something and experience all your missteps and mistakes. Doubt about your ability to master the skill is often a constant presence. Our own inner voice will be doubtful enough, and we don't need to add to it. If someone has a dream of doing something, they have to go through a process of preparing for that dream to become a reality for them. No one can actually dictate how long this becoming is going to take. So much depends on the willingness to keep trying, to keep struggling against the doubt and the procrastination, to keep working on it, to allow that the exploration itself is a journey that may lead to a destination unexpected if we trust the work to lead us. In my own life, the decision to take voice lessons in my mid-30s was prompted by the realization that I had wanted to sing since I was a little girl and had let that dream die. When I took my first steps on that road as that 30-something, I was very ambitious. I actually thought, give me 6 months, my teachers will be begging me to sing with them at recitals. And yet, although I was unaware of it at the time, I had a deep-seated belief that permeated my life, that I was not good enough, and I would never be good enough, no matter how hard I tried. And after 6 months, I was more lost than ever. I didn't know I was asleep. I didn't know I was unaware and unconscious of myself. I was used to living from the outside in. I was used to contorting myself in order to please others. I didn't know who I was. But somehow my love of music kept me going, kept me practicing. In the instantness of our lives, we look at today's practice and find it wanting. But I came to know, and I still believe, that if we work on whatever it is on a daily basis, then just doing that work will bring us to a new place sometime in the future. And if we are open to the process and curious enough to allow it to bloom in its own time, it will lead us to places that we never would have seen if we did not have the courage to walk that path. Before I go on, I want to talk about possibilities. What if the dream you have, or the dream someone else has, is impossible? No doubt, there are some dreams that simply cannot come true, right? I mean, you can't fix everything. Maybe that's true. Maybe they simply can't overcome whatever limits they have. Reality can bite. They should be encouraged to give up their dream so they don't get hurt, don't you think? I don't think it's up to me to decide what someone else is capable of. And even if it is truly impossible, should we give up? I remember reading a story about a woman who had won 3 gold medals in swimming, and she'd only begun swimming 3 or 4 years before. And I especially remember when the interviewer asked her what was next, that she expressed interest in taking voice lessons. She was 92. Back in my late 30s, there were people that looked at me doing this strange thing called music and expressed their doubts about it. I was very fragile, and I felt that very deeply. Those voices added to the cacophony, weighing me down and silencing me. I could feel them in social situations, in the coffee room at work, and when I went to sing. Those thoughts, those judgments were like hands reaching for my throat and closing me down, silencing me. My dream back then was simply to sing, and perhaps be able to sing the high note at the end of I Could Have Danced All Night from My Fair Lady. I didn't know when I began that it would take me 8 years to find my voice and 12 years to be able to sing without fear in front of people. I didn't know that the act of singing would be a form of therapy for me. I didn't know that taking voice lessons would teach me how to receive educated feedback and respond to it in a positive manner. I didn't know that this work would help me wake up as a human being. I didn't know I'd become aware of my own thoughts and see how they inhibited me. I didn't know I would be healed from shyness. I didn't know I'd become a more confident person. I didn't know, when I began, that I would end up teaching voice to other shy singers. Nothing could be further from my mind. I didn't know, when I began, that one day I would meet a student who reawakened the songwriter in me, and that the journey of writing songs would lead me to experimenting with instrumentals, which would eventually lead me to composing music for film and television. I simply had a dream. And even through all the doubts and struggles to practice and learn, I never let that dream die.